Hey everybody, this is your girl Tutu, and make sure you check out our online store so you can get some SITM merch. Make sure you check us out. Make sure you hit up all our videos. We got some dope content on the way as well. Make sure you also subscribe, hit that bell notification, and check us out because we got more in store.
Welcome back to another episode of Stuck in the Middle, the Couch Talk. You're here listening with Sir Charles. I'm your host. You know what I'm saying? Yo, it's been a minute. You know, we aren't on the couches today. We're actually on the table, but I have a really dope guest. But before we get into that, first thing I want to introduce is let you all know to visit sitmpodcast.com. Make sure you shop exclusive merch. You know what I'm saying? That's the fuel that drives this machine, and we'll be sure to get back to that. All right? But, you know, I'm here. I'm here with a host. Good guy. Good guy. Mr. Wale Olawoyin. Wale.
Hey man, what's up? How you guys doing?
Hey man, we blessed and happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? Yo, what does Wale mean? Whole time, I know you're Nigerian. You know, got a little bit of background culture. So
yeah. You know, I'm Nigerian, and we always have a meaning to our name. So Wale means come home. So my full name is Olawale, and then you know, Ola means wealth. So wealth comes home, and my last name is Olawoyin. So wealth reaches everywhere. So
hey.
my full name really means wealth comes home, and then it spreads around everywhere.
I see. That's what made you a full-time entrepreneur in this DMV.
Yeah, you know, I gotta bring this wealth home and then take it everywhere, just like my name says.
I know, man. Well, speaking of homes, we're gonna get into that, but first, you know, we know here that you are CEO of Champion Studios, right?
Yes.
Tell us how did you go from being the CEO of a video digital marketing company that produces and makes video content into becoming a realtor?
Okay. So the interesting thing is, you know, real estate and video production, or let me say, selling real estate and video productions, you know, actually have synergy in between them. Mm-hmm. So selling real estate really is marketing. It's all about branding and marketing, and video production is all about marketing and branding as well. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things I was one of my great advantage coming to the real estate market is I come in as a video producer, as a marketer already, as a branding person already, and I'm able to take that to a different edge into selling real estate.
Okay. So you kind of use that as an avenue to get your way into becoming a realtor.
Yes. Yeah. You know, it's all about selling. You know, we're always selling something, and I've always been helping people sell things. So now, more than ever, I'm able to help myself sell homes.
Okay. So what was the process like to become a realtor? Was it something extraneous? Was it difficult? You know, kind of talk about that process.
Okay. So being a realtor is actually not, it could be a little stressful, but it's actually, you know, it's an easy process. You know, to become an agent, you just have to take a 60-hour class, you know, pass the board exam, the national and the state exam, you know, but that part is not easy.
I was about to say 60 hours in a board exam. Wow.
Yeah, I can tell you, like, that's probably one of the hardest part is the passing the board exam, because it's actually meant to be really complicated. And you gotta have a license for each state that you want to practice in. So you know, you have to take each a different exam for each state that you want to have a license in.
So for like a tri-state area like the DMV, you know what I mean? So you had to take a test in DC, a test in Maryland, and a test in Virginia.
Yes, and you got to take a national test.
Oh wow. So but are the questions a little bit similar state to state or with the national test?
So the national state, the national test is it's just national for the whole United States. But for the states, they're different because each state has its own laws.
Okay, yeah. That's a little interesting. You know what I'm saying? What was when you first got into home buying? Right, you passed your exams, you passed your test. Now you're getting ready to sell your first home. What was that initial feeling like? Like, were you nervous? Were you hesitant?
Man, I gotta tell you that first house is the hardest. You know, because this real estate is a relationship business, and it's a referral business. So it's all about who can know you, like you, and trust you. You know, because it's a real big process. You know, and it's hard for people to just trust anybody to come in and just, you know, buy them my house. So I would say the hardest was the first. Yeah.
I mean, But you are such a familiar face in the DMV. You do a lot of work out here. You know, you've done tons of videos through Champion Studios. So you would think that relationship building would be easy for you, especially transitioning from being behind the camera, shooting people's videos, because you're well known out here.
Yes.
And then going into real estate.
So I mean, well, the way I see it is, you know, people know me and trust me, you know, with the videos, because you know, I've been doing for 10 years. I have all this experience, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can just call Wale. I don't even need to ask him any question. But with real estate, it's like, okay, you're this new guy. How can I trust you? You know, and that's what, you know, having a mentor and having a coach is important, because we're dealing with a lot of big laws and a lot of contracts.
Right.
So one little mistake can literally, you know, end you up in jail. Like, it's that serious. You know, so.
Okay. So you transitioned your company from Champion Studios to the Champion property. What was it like, you know what I'm saying, really becoming a realtor and then knowing that, okay, you have your license, you have your first house, now you're getting ready to sell your home, that championship property, how did you want to make it a staple? Like, what type of marketing tactics did you use in order to sell this new company that you were venturing into?
Okay, so, you know, Champion Studio is a video production company on its own. So it's a company on its own, and Champion Property Group, it's also a company on its own. So that's a real estate company on its own. One of the strategies that we started looking at was using video marketing as a, you know, as an edge, because a lot of people are visual. You know, we're all visual. You know, especially, you know, last year, you know, when the pandemic was really a big thing, people couldn't go home. I mean, people couldn't go out. So we had to start using a lot of marketing tools to push to social media. And one of the strategies was to make a lot of high quality content, especially to buyers that are not able to view the house now. You know, like, for example, I have a lot of clients that are out of town, and I'm still doing showings. I'm able to, like, show them houses virtually. So, you know, we're transitioning into a virtual world now.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the housing market, right? So how did COVID-19 affect the housing market, you know?
Whew. So the COVID-19 has really brought in a different twist to the market. I don't think a lot of people expected this to happen. But people are working more from home now, you know, which makes the value of a house much more important. You know, homes are highly valued now because most people are working from home, and then when the pandemic's over, guess what? People are still going to be working from home. A lot of people are comfortable working from home. So the valuation of home is more important now than ever. And then people are also discovering that they're going to be stuck in their home for a long time. So now a lot of people that have small houses, they're like, you know what? We need to get a bigger house because we're going to be here for the next 5-10 years, and we're going to be working from home. We need to be in a much better space. So this is causing a lot of people to you know, to transition to bigger homes. And also we have low interest rates, you know, in the market right now. So, you know, people are able to buy bigger houses, and because the interest rate is low, yeah, they're able to buy bigger houses due to low interest rates.
So I mean, so you discussed low interest rates, right? But then to me, right, it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a sense, because yes, interest rates are low, but then some of the offers I'm seeing on some of these houses is ridiculous. So I had a homegirl, right? She recently bought a 3-bedroom townhome, and the reason why she was buying a townhome because she knows she wants to buy a second home eventually. She just wants a townhome for this moment. Right. She told me that her offer was close to $500K, and I'm like, for a townhome, you know what I'm saying? So for a townhome, I wouldn't think that I had to spend close to $500,000, but you're telling me that the interest rate is low. Like,
I mean, things are different now. You know, a townhome. Right now, what we're seeing in the market is a lot of builders are building townhomes, more townhomes than single families. Because the way we can look at it is, you have a piece of land. If they are to build single families, they might only be able to build 2 single family houses. But with a townhome, they can build like 10 houses in that same lot. So for the builders, it's more, you know, it's more economical for them to do that. And you know, and just because it's a townhouse doesn't mean Just because it's a townhouse doesn't mean that it needs to be like in the 300s or the 200s. There are a lot of townhouses that are really, really huge, that are really big. So there's a lot of things that contribute to the price of the home, such as the location, where it's at, the jobs in that area, the community, the neighborhood, and all that stuff. So, yeah.
So you currently are a realtor in Maryland, right?
Yeah.
I actually took, when I was preparing for this interview, I actually had a chance to take a look at some of the different offering prices or bidding prices within Maryland. Where do you feel like is the best locations currently in the DMV or in Maryland to buy a home?
It will really depend on the individual person. When I'm talking to my clients, the first thing I ask them is, "Oh, where do you work at?" Because you don't want to buy a house 1 hour away from you. You want to be max 30 minutes, 40 minutes max from you. So where you work at, where's your church, because all those things really, where are your friends and family, the places you go often, where are they? Things like that contributes to location.
Right, because when I was looking, I saw that Prince George's County, they're in the 400, 500 range.
Oh, yeah, PG County is off the roof now.
Yeah, Moco. I was actually surprised at one location. I was looking at Frederick County, and Frederick County looks a bit reasonable for the types of homes that they have out there. Have you ever met with a buyer that initially wanted to live somewhere else, but then had to recommend another site because it was a little bit more economically efficient for them?
Oh yeah, so I have a lot of people looking at Waldorf now, because
people catching flights to Waldorf.
Nah, I mean, imagine me doing 10 showings in Waldorf. That back-to-back driving. It's, it's Waldorf.
So do you think like down the line after the pandemic is over, people are gonna find it hard time selling those homes that they're buying now because the interest rates are low?
So one of the advice that I give to people is, if you're buying a house right now in this market, make sure that it's the house that you're not selling in the next 2-3 years. Because at the end of the day, we know that the price of the home will come down a little bit, right? I don't think it's gonna come down as people are like expecting it to, but it's gonna come down at some point. So do not buy a house that you're gonna sell in the next 2 years. Buy that house that you have 10 years that you want to live in it, or at least you're going to rent it out.
Yeah, for sure. No, because so my parents live in Riverdale, right? So they're actually looking to sell their home within the next 5, maybe 10, 15 years. Let's say 10 years, right? But the influx of that purple line is raising a lot of the prices of these homes, of the values of the home. Because I think my parents bought that house at maybe $250,000-$300,000. Now it's almost worth $500,000. It's a single family home.
Right.
So that's actually a good idea, or a good piece of advice to ask. What other initial conversations are you having with first time home buyers?
Okay, so I think a lot of first time home buyers are not aware of the process, right? So they just want to be in a home, but it actually takes more than just being at home. So the first thing I tell everybody is, before you start, talk to a realtor first. It's kind of, I can put this in a situation where if you wanna fix your car, you wouldn't go to the shop and just buy the parts first, even though you know what's wrong. You're gonna consult a mechanic first, right?
Right.
So the same way as buying a house, you need to consult a realtor first, because a lot of people like to wait till they're ready, quote unquote. But then when you're ready, you actually find out that you're not ready yet. Because we have to look at your debt to income ratio. We have to look at your credit score. We have to make sure that you have down payment. We have to make sure that you have closing cost. So it's a lot of pieces that needs to be put together when buying a house.
So how long can that process take? I know that there's different circumstances to it, but from, let's say, that first initial conversation to now you've handed me the keys, how long is that process on average? Because everybody's different.
On average, I would say 2 to 3 months. Okay. Because it depends on how ready you are, in the process. We have people that might need to fix a few things in their credit score, and that might take them a month or so to fix that, 2 months sometimes. And sometimes you get somebody that's just ready, Yeah, and the home shopping process itself can take 3 months. It can literally take 90 days to find a house. And then even when you find a house, it can take 10 offers sometimes. You know, we have to literally write 10 offers for 10 different houses. And then for you to find 10 houses you like, we might have to go to like 15 houses for you to find one that you like. So it could be a very long process. So it's always good to consult a long time before you think you're ready.
Is that what you meant earlier when you said like it's hard, it's a lot of work for you as a realtor earlier when you said it's a lot of work?
Oh, best believe it's a lot of work, but I enjoy it. You know, when you enjoy it, you're not stressed, because I do a lot of driving, like a lot of driving every day. You know, sometimes I might be in Clinton, then from Clinton I'm in Jessup, from Jessup I'm in Baltimore, you know, then I'm going back to like Upper Marlboro, all in the same day. You know, like I find myself sitting in the car for like 5 hours, just driving left and right, back to back, you know, meeting different clients. And so it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of work that I enjoy.
Okay, like, so with homeowners looking to buy, or prospective homeowners looking to buy the next few years, what tips would you give them now? So one, make sure your credit is in order. That's a given.
Yes.
But then after that,
So one, make sure your credit is in order. But what Credit Karma tells you is not your credit score. So that's very important. So the lenders, they have their own way of calculating your mortgage. If Credit Karma says your credit score is 720, you're probably around 700, 690 something. And they also look at all other credit bureaus and they take the median out of all of them. So apart from credit score, keep your debt on the low, like on the very low, because your debt to income ratio your debt to income ratio is a big impact on how much buying power you can have. So, you know, you have folks making 100K a year, or I'm making six figures, but you have car note of like $900 a month. You have student loan of like $1,500 a month. You're not gonna find a house to buy, like, you know, because they're gonna look at your existing debts. They're gonna look at your credit score, your credit card, how much you're paying monthly on everything, and the more debts you have. And debts are not utility bills. They're not your phone bill. No, debts are your student loan, your car note, personal loan, anything that you cannot easily cancel. You can just get out of it. You know, that's what we look at as debt. So it's very important to keep your debt very low. Payment history is also very important. So you always want to make all your payments on time. Make sure nothing goes into collection and other stuff. So, you know, those are three things that I think are very, very important to be aware of. And, you know, talk to a realtor every now and then just to get market updates. And don't wait till you think you're ready, you know, before you make a move. Like 6 months, a year ahead of time is the right time to actually start talking to a realtor.
okay, I was gonna and to piggyback off of that. Well, do you believe like now is a good time to buy a home, or should prospective home buyers wait?
So it all depends. What I tell everybody is it is a good time to buy a house now if it's a house you're gonna live in for some time. If it's a house that you're gonna sell in 2 years or 3 years from now, it is not a good time to buy that house, right? But it is a good time because if I'm buying a house that I'm gonna live for 10 years, I'm not really particular about how much the house costs. I'm more particular about how much I'm paying every month.
Right.
So I'm more focused on my monthly mortgage rather than how much I'm buying it. Because best believe you can, 2-3 years ago, you can buy a house of, let's say, $300,000, and your mortgage can be like $2,500. You can buy a house of $300,000 right now, and your mortgage could be like $1,900 or like $2,000, right? So I'm just giving that as an example. So at the end of the day, if I'm going to live there for a long time, I care more about how much I'm paying every month versus how much I'm buying it. You know, but that doesn't mean go buy a house that's, you know, it's 300, go buy for 500. You know, that doesn't mean that. But at the same time, you know, I'm more focused on monthly mortgage.
Right. So, you know, a lot of people, they want to be entrepreneurs like yourself, right? And, you know, apart from being a realtor, some people are into flipping houses. Okay. What are your thoughts on those individuals looking to buy a house in order to flip it?
Okay. So, I mean, everybody have their strategy that works for them. But with the knowledge I have and everything, I'm not too big on flipping houses. I'm more into buying and holding. So I like to buy property and hold that property, rent it out, let the value of the property go up, and let the tenants pay the mortgage and make some extra cash. So I think that's a better strategy. And also, one of the things we don't look at is tax planning, right? When you're flipping properties, you're paying a lot of taxes. Like on your gains, you're paying a lot, right? And also, when the government sees that you're flipping a lot, they're gonna say, okay, that's what you're doing for a living. You're gonna pay way more in taxes. But when you're buying and holding, you actually pay little to no tax down the road. So, but hey, if flipping works for you, that works for you. Everybody have their strategy and what works for them. But I advise everybody to buy and hold. There's actually a strategy called BRRRR strategy. So BRRRR, which is buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. And then you keep repeating the process all over and over again.
And this is specific to flippers, or
this is more into it's like flipping but not flipping. So instead of you flipping it, when you flip, you buy, you renovate, you sell, boom, you go to the next one. But this one, you're actually gonna buy, you're gonna renovate it, you're going to rent it out, you're going to refinance. When you refinance, you're gonna pull cash out of that house, and then you're gonna put it into the next property. So you're not selling this property, you're still holding it, and the tenant is paying all your mortgage and giving you extra cash, and the value of the property is going up as well.
Okay. What about buyers, right? Like me, me personally, I would like to move into a house that's buy ready. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to go into a project home. Do you feel like it's best to, let's say I have my budget. Let's say my budget is $300,000, right? I see some nice homes that might be $350,000, $400,000, so it's $100,000 over asking price, but it's buy ready. And I see some okay homes, could use a little bit of work, but it's maybe $250,000, so I still have that little bit of money. As my realtor, would you advise me moving into that buy ready home, maybe $50,000 to $100,000 above my asking price? Or would you say, okay, look, this is below your budget, it needs some work, but you'll save a little bit of money in the end?
So it all depends on you. If you ask me what I would do, it's different, but it all depends on you. If and what your situation is. Because if you buy a house that needs some work, it might take you a month or 6 weeks. You might be in a situation where you cannot wait 6 weeks for a house to be ready. So that's different. But if you're a person that likes to do handwork, like me, I like management, I like putting things together, I like constructing things, I would enjoy buying a house that needs some work versus something that's already ready. And when you buy a house that's fully ready, you're really just buying the cosmetics. That's what you're buying, right? So whenever I'm selling a house to somebody, I tell them all the time, don't buy a house based on cosmetics, buy the house based on structure, right? Because the structure is something you cannot really change. The cosmetics, those are things you can change. Even if you buy a house that's fully ready now, you're going to end up wanting to customize certain things out of the house. You might not like the bathroom wall, you might not like the paint, you might not like certain things. So at the end of the day, you always spend money customizing it to the way you like it. But what I tell people is you might not want to buy a house that you have to break down the wall and everything. You can have that structure that you want already, and just maybe you need to fix the painting, maybe you need to change the carpet to hardwood floors, maybe you need to change a few appliances. Those are just cosmetics. Those are little things that you can do, and that allows you to build instant equity into the house. Okay. So to me, it's a much better strategy. But if you're a person that you don't like touching anything,
I don't have patience, man.
You don't have patience.
I have zero patience.
Yeah, but what the only thing I say is you're buying at the top dollar. You're buying at the top dollar, but you're getting exactly what you want.
You brought something to my attention, which was structure. What do you mean by different structures? So there's different types of structured houses, like
So pretty much when I say structure, it's okay. Where's the bathroom located? Where's the kitchen located? Those are things that if you want to change down the road, it's going to cost a lot of money. So when we're looking for a house, look for a house that has that structure that you like in terms of where the bedroom placed. Is there a bathroom in the master bedroom? You get what I'm saying? Those are like structure of the house. Yeah.
Oh man, giving me a lot of perspective.
But you just said a lot of people don't think about that part. That's something I learned right now. That's pretty dope. But I keep jumping in, Charles. But what's one thing, you've been in the game for a minute? What's one thing that a lot of a lot of realtors get wrong that is potentially detrimental to the buyers? Like,
I think one thing a lot of realtors get wrong is they have a goal of selling X amount of houses in a year, right? So it can be like, oh, this month I want to sell 6 houses. I don't do that, because if that's my goal, I'm gonna make sure it happens, whether it's gonna hurt the buyer or not, right? So a lot of realtors set goals of, X amount of clients, X amount of buyers, but what that does is you're only focused on yourself, on just selling yourself, rather than focus on helping people. So that's one of the things that I would not do myself.
As a realtor, are you more inclined to sell the home, or really? Hold on, let me make sure I have this question correctly. As a realtor, who are you more inclined to service, the home seller or the home buyer?
I'm always happy to service both, but you know what they say, listing is gold.
Right.
Listing is gold. So if I have a house that I'm representing the seller, a lot of time it's much easier because the house is there and we know it's gonna sell. When I have a buyer, we gotta go through 50 houses, but I'm happy to represent either end of the transaction.
Okay. So let's say you have champion property, right? Let's say I see a house on Long and Foster home. Can I still contact you as a realtor?
Oh, yes. So as a realtor, I can get into any house that's on the market. So we have multiple listing service, and that's where all realtors come together. It's a database where all realtors come together and and put their houses there. So all those houses that you're seeing on Zillow, Redfin, they're all coming from our database. Right, so when somebody comes and says, oh yeah, I saw the house in Zillow, yeah, what you're seeing on Zillow is literally a replica of our database.
Okay. What can home sellers do with their listing with trying to attract more buyers? Because I actually saw a video on Instagram the other day where this young lady, she's a realtor. She was saying that, okay, homes that are listed like this where they just took the picture anyhow. It wasn't picture ready. The yard doesn't look kept. There's cracks in the wall. You can see actual damage without even visiting the home.
Right.
If I'm a home seller, what can I do to attract more buyers when I'm listing my home?
Okay. So the first thing you can do is hire a realtor. It's one of those things where you can do yourself, but you also cannot do yourself, to be honest, because it's a lot of things down the process. So for one of the things that a lot of sellers don't realize is painting matters, right? You might like yellow, but the world don't like yellow. When I bring a buyer to the house, they need to see a neutral color that they can imagine themselves in. So one of the things when I walk into a listing appointment is I look at the color of the house. We look at paintings on the wall. Family photos. Sucks to say, but they don't convert well, right? Because a buyer wants to go into the house and they want to imagine themselves in the house. When they see family photos, they don't see themselves in the house anymore. So little things like that, and also making small repairs, fixing patches on the wall. You might have kids that wrote, a lot of things on the wall, fixing those type of things, cleaning up the lawn, just minor things, especially with appearance is going to help. And also, one of the great benefits of working with a realtor is you get to take all that headache off your head, right? If you put a house on the market, you're seeing 50 showing requests in a day. You're at work, you're not going to have time you're trying to, answer everybody. That's one of the things that we do to take the stress off your shoulder.
Right. Yeah, because it's funny. When you do that as a realtor, do you all also furnish the house? So you looked at the house, you said, okay, you need to change this, and this.
Oh yeah, staging is a very I forgot to mention that when I was talking, but staging is a very important process, of the home selling. So one of the things we make sure that we do is stage the house if the house is not empty. So yeah.
Okay.
Sir, I want to circle back a little bit, just get to know Wale the person. Why did you get into? Because I've seen a video on your you're big on finances. We talked a little bit before we started. You also into stocks, but why did you get into real estate? Because a lot of people might be watching right now. It's like, man, I want to do that personally for you, and why should somebody think about it? Really,
Man, I think when I got into real estate, I started telling everybody, no matter what you do what you want to do, but do something in real estate somehow. Whether you're a landlord, whether you're flipping houses, but you got to put real estate in a part of your strategies. Why? People will always need a place to live, right? People always need a place to work. That's where real estate comes in. And my biggest reason why I got into real estate, I feel like it's a stepping stone, right? First it comes from my name, but that's not why, just because of my name. But growing up, I've always been fascinated by construction. I've always seen myself driving by anywhere I see things being put together, especially in terms of home. So it just clicked to me one day that, man, I want to be in the 1% of the world, right? And 90% of millionaires are in real estate somehow, right? They're all invested into real estate somehow. So I started saying, okay, let me start thinking of doing what they do, right? And I started just getting more in depth and started learning more about real estate. And I found out that, like, I really, really love real estate. I really love helping people. I like giving people a place to live and stay. And that's what drives me into real estate.
Okay. So, we talked about a little bit about your first house. Your first house was the hardest house to sell. How long did it take for you to actually sell that home?
I think it actually took about a month. Yeah,
Wow.
It actually took about a month because sometimes when you work with someone that knows exactly what they want, when they walk in there, they know, okay, this is it, and you just go for it. But a lot of time, we have people that watch HGTV a lot, and
That's my sister. She'll tell you this wall does not belong here. This man, she'll tell you.
I tell people it's a reality show, okay, and you're not gonna see a lot of things that it's not real. It's not real. It's real, but it's not real at the same time. So, getting that out of your head, and also, I have to tell people that we're looking for like 6 over 10 or 7 over 10, right? So write down the list of things that you want in the house. Also find 7 over 10, 6 over 10 out of it. That's we're making a move. You get what I'm saying?
So if I tell you right now, look, I need an indoor pool, an outdoor pool, a place to park my Bentleys, my Rolls Royces, and everything like that, you got me.
Yeah, as long as you have millions in your budget.
Hey man.
Chase.
Chevy Chase, yeah.
I want to ask a fun question. What's one thing that buyers do that annoy you as a realtor? It's like, dang, like I gotta deal with this person, so people can clean their acts.
Man, I think not knowing what you want, that's one of the biggest thing. Or another thing can be, when the buyer tells you to write a contract, and when you're done writing, okay, it's time to sign. One day later, you're still waiting. Okay, are you gonna sign? And then they're like, I don't like it anymore. And then we got to go back all over again. So that's one thing. The second thing is messing something up in the middle of the transaction. So being on a contract and going into a big debt, right, which changes your financial situation, and that can cost your it can even be like buying a TV with your credit card, right? That can cause things to just go down the hill. Yeah.
What sorry, Charles, last question. We all like marrying age right now, 30s, early 30s, late 29s. What would you advise people right now, thinking about marriage, like to get married or buy a house? Because there's actually a show on Netflix.
Bro, that's a really good question.
There's actually a show on Netflix, Mortgage or Marriage or something like that.
I saw that.
Get married first or buy a house?
What I would tell everybody is buy a house. Why? Even if it's a small house, that you can put as a rental, buy that property. And if you look at the real estate, is how we build wealth. You can. The marriage process itself it costs a lot of money. A lot of millionaires are actually finding out that why am I going to spend $100,000 on a wedding? I can literally, put like half of it on the down payment and buy a nice house.
You hear that, young ladies?
Yeah, young ladies. But hey, we're always gonna have our beautiful wedding and everything. But I think the way we're thinking financially, is changing. But I will always say, for me, I've seen a lot of women that are like, oh, I don't want to buy a house yet, because what if I get married? That means my husband is not going to want to move to the house. You can always rent the house.
Right.
And to first time home buyers, your first house is not your dream house, right? When you buy that first house, you're buying a house for now, that you can live in for the next 5 years, 6 years, right? Because when you look at how much you're paying in rent, and to find out that you're throwing that money away, it's actually a horrible idea to live in an apartment, and I will never encourage anybody to live in an apartment. And even when you say, oh, I'm just going to live in this apartment for 1 year, 5 years down the road, you're still in the same apartment. So why not save up some money and buy a house? It doesn't need to be a big house, right? Make the same payment as what you would make in an apartment. And then, when you do meet that husband, you can get a bigger house and you can always continue renting this house. But do not put your real estate goals on hold because you're waiting for marriage. I don't think that's a good financial idea.
No, I 1000% agree with you, and I'm glad Flex had the ability to ask that question, because I was having this same conversation with my personal person, and I was like, yo, would you want to buy the townhome first? Because this is how I was thinking, and tell me if this is not the way I should be thinking at all.
Okay.
So I've never lived in the house, she's never lived in the house, right? And I'm like, okay, we both have that first time home buyer credit. But I found out that that renews every 2 years. So my instinct is like, okay, get married. After that, after a year maybe, or however, we're gonna go into the townhome. You use your name, you buy that first home.
Right.
After a couple of years, when we're settled, when we have the ability to transition, buy the next house, first time home buyer credit, my name, and we'll go from there. So do you feel like that's a better method to approach, or should I approach that a little differently?
No, that's actually a good strategy, and a lot of couples actually that's what they do. One person will go first, and then the next person can go.
Yeah. I had to make sure, because and if you're listening, I told you so.
Charles said it.
But yeah, within the DMV, where do you feel home buyers get the best bang for their buck? That you've seen so far? One day you're in Upper Marlboro, the next you're in Baltimore, you're in Jessup.
I think right now, so your mortgage composes of 4 things, right? You have your principal, you have your interest, you have your taxes, and insurance, mortgage insurance. So what a lot of people don't pay attention to is taxes, right? So for example, if you buy a house in Bowie and you buy a house in, let's say, Upper Marlboro, your taxes are going to be significantly different, right? You can buy a house of the same price point with the same interest rate, but your mortgage is going to be significantly different because taxes differ based on the area. So I would say right now, PG County is for me is high, right? The taxes, they probably are like one of the highest taxes in Maryland.
Don't break my heart like that.
Yeah, trust me. PG County has high taxes. So and around the county, I'm thinking in terms of mortgage, right? In terms of, and what everybody's looking at is different, right? So and around the county, the Odenton, Laurel, that the taxes there are really on the low, and also like Upper Marlboro, the 301 South Upper Marlboro, Clinton, those areas have.
I just like the fact that the big houses. I grew up in PG, so I know the Bowie area very well. So I've always envisioned a Woodmore North type house.
Woodmore, okay.
Big house,
right?
But I just wanted to know for us potential home buyers, it's a good thing to kind of know these things. For a home buyer, when they're making an offer, how can you make an offer stand out?
So, writing a good offer composes of a lot of things. So, we always want to look at the market that we're in right now, and we also want to look at the area, right? And that's one of the things that I do personally is I do a lot of research even before thinking of a strategy to go for. So right now we all know that we're in a seller's market, right? So we have very few homes and a lot of buyers, so there's a lot of competition. right? If I was writing an offer 2 years ago, the strategy is going to be different from what I'm writing right now. But I will just explain, what we're looking at in this in this market that we're in. We're in a seller's market. We have a lot of competition. We know that we have a lot of buyers. We have about, let's say, 15 to 20 offers in one property. So what does that mean? You got to go hard or go home, right? You got to come with your highest and best offer at all times. So one of the things the sellers look at is, one of the first thing is, what type of loan do you have, right? So we have the FHA loan, and we also have the conventional loan. We have the VA loan and a couple of other loans, right? But the two most popular loans are the FHA loan and the conventional loan. In the market we're in right now, conventional loans stand out, a whole lot more than FHA. One of the reasons is because, FHA loan is really designed for, that person that couldn't really get a loan, but then the government comes in and help, and it's a government-backed loan, right? That's FHA loan. Conventional loan is the, conventional loan. And with the FHA loan, when you do inspection, or let's say when you do appraisal, the lender can come back and say, okay, sellers, I need you guys to, fix this on the roof. I need you guys to fix this on the paint, do this and that before we can move on. But on the conventional loan, a lot of time that doesn't happen, right? So sellers like that. And then second thing is appraisal report. So what is an appraiser? So let's say Charles is selling his house for $250,000, and Wale wants to buy this house, right? And I say, hey, I'm going to buy this house for $260,000, and then we'll go on a contract. What the lender is going to say is, wait a minute, is this house really worth $260,000? We are about to put our investment into this. Let's make sure that it is worth it. So what the lender will do is order an appraiser, and an appraiser will come in and say, okay, this is what this house is worth. So during that process, an appraiser can also say, okay, you guys need to fix these certain things. And then an appraiser for an FHA loan will stick on the property for 6 months. So let's say I go on a contract with you for $260, and the appraiser comes in at $240. For the next 6 months, that anybody else that wants to buy that same house on that loan type is stuck for 6 months, right? That price is stuck on it. But with a conventional loan, you can order the new appraisal the next day, right? It's not the appraisal value is not stuck. So that's why a lot of sellers like conventional loan. So apart from loan, the next thing is inspection, right? Are you asking to do inspection? Are you gonna put inspection contingency on the contract and ask the seller to, okay, I need you to fix this floor, I need you to fix this paint? Sellers don't want to hear that right now because we're in a seller's market, So a lot of offers that we're putting in right now does not have inspection contingency, but we still do inspection. So we will inspect the house, but we might not be backing out just solely based on inspection. Another thing is, pricing. So pricing pretty much is, how high are you willing to go? Right. And are you also having appraisal contingency? So an appraisal contingency is saying that if I say, hey, I'm going to buy this house for $260, no appraisal contingency, I'm pretty much saying that whether it appraises or not, I'm going to buy this house, right? So when the seller sees that, they're like, whoo, okay. Even if I appraise for $240, the buyer is going to buy. So that means the buyer is going to bring out cash to buy the rest of the house. So those are the things that sellers are looking at. And, we know what to put there. Well, I know what to put there based on the house, the condition of the house, the location, and a lot of other things.
Okay, because I was going to say, okay, so that $240 to $260, they've appraised the house. It's really worth $240. I've now offered $260, $270. What happens to that balance in between?
So if there's an appraisal contingency, meaning that, hey, I'm only going to buy this house if it appraises. So if it doesn't appraise, we have to go back to the negotiation table, right? We'll go back to the table with the seller and say, hey, this house didn't appraise. Here's the proof. We need you to reduce the number to the appraised value. So the seller can do a couple of things. The seller can say, okay, I'm going to agree and lower the price. Or the seller can counter offer it and say, hey, give me $5,000 more. Or the seller can decide not to sell the house anymore. So
okay, yeah, because that's what I was actually thinking about was, when we were talking a little bit earlier, when I was saying, now is a seller's market, a lot of people are bringing in very high offers and outbidding other offers themselves without the seller having to do anything. When that appraisal comes, it's not the seller's fault that the bidders have outbidded themselves and have decided to value that house at this point. What do I as a seller now do?
So that's why you need to have a real estate agent by your side, right? Because if I put a house out on the market for 300,000 and somebody comes in and say they'll pay for 400, they'll pay 400,000, I'm gonna say, wait a minute, I know it's not gonna appraise, so I'm not going to entertain this offer. Or if we're going to accept this offer, I'll always let the seller know that this might not appraise for this price, but since this is where you want to go, this is who you want to go with, we can go with it, but we might not appraise. Because another thing is expectations, right? When we let our client know that this is what things might come to, at least when it comes to that, they're not surprised. Yeah.
Last question. Do you feel like it's beneficial to be a part of a homeowners association?
Personally, for me, I like it. I like HOAs because HOA helps with keeping the value of your home, the value. I've been to some communities that doesn't have HOA, and you see like 30 cars parked. Some might even be in the backyard. You just see a whole bunch of things. And what happens is when your neighbor puts the house on the market, and the buyer is going there, and they're driving around, and they see a bunch of, one house is painted yellow, the next one's painted blue. It just goes in the head that like, man, do I want to live in this community? So for me personally, I like HOA. And most HOA communities, they have amenities. You might have like a club room, you might have like a swimming pool, so there are different things that HOA offers that I personally like. But if you're that loud person that likes to party every day and do a lot of different things, HOA community might not be for you. So it all depends on who you are as a person and what you like.
Yeah, because I definitely saw that. Like I said, my parents getting ready to sell their house probably 5 to 10 years from now, and they're doing like little tiny things. So I lived in the community of Riverdale. As you know, we talked about the Purple Line and the influx of that and how that's affecting that community.
Yes.
And what I've seen is that a lot of home sellers are renovating their homes, trying to match the surrounding areas. And it's like, okay, my dad painted his fence white because the next door neighbor's fence was white, and I was like, well, why didn't we just put an iron fence, Dad? We didn't have to paint this. But it's good to know. But Wale, man, thank you so much for coming through. I definitely learned a lot of valuable gems when it comes to buying and selling homes. What's next for Champion Property?
Man, what's next really is we're gonna be buying a lot of properties. I'm a big believer in the BRRRR strategy, BRRRR. So yeah, our goal really is to buy a lot of properties, fix them up, put renters, renovate, and continue doing the same.
Hey man, we real proud of you, man. You acting like a real CEO out here. You know what I'm saying? Where can the people find and follow you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Wale the CEO, Facebook Wale Olawoyin, YouTube Wale Olawoyin, and my cell phone too.
Hey, if you want to shout out your number,
call me for business only. 301-655-4152.
Hey man, you guys, just don't be blowing this guy's phone up in the middle of the night. All right, he already told you. Yo, I'm your host, Sir Charles, man. Thanks for joining us, Wale Olawoyin. We have my boy Flex in the building. You know what I'm saying? Controlling, producing. You know his thing. You're watching and listening to Stuck in the Middle. This has been the Couch Talk. We talked about a whole lot. You know what I mean? So be sure to follow SITM Podcast on all streaming platforms. Be sure to subscribe. Follow Champion Studios at the Champion Property. You know what I mean? We got a lot of stuff coming for y'all. You know what I mean? Shout out to Tutu. Shout out to Flex. Shout out to AK. Shout out to Mod. Shout out to our Cherry. Yo, I'm your host, Sir Charles. It's been a pleasure.